Morning, everyone, and welcome to TourismTechnology.com's webinar, Getting Started with Facebook Advertising. My name is Craig Foley, and I'm with Hospitality Newfoundland and Labrador, and we're actually hosting this event today, technically, on behalf of our other partners in TourismTechnology.com. We are very pleased that you could join us today, and I would like to acknowledge participation from our other partners in this project, provinces of New Brunswick, Prince Edward Island, and Newfoundland and Labrador, and the tourism industry associations of each province, including TINB, TIPI, and Hospitality Newfoundland and Labrador, and of course Tourism Atlantic, ACOA. The aim of TourismTechnology.com is to empower tourism operators in Atlantic Canada to improve their competitiveness by effectively using online technology. TourismTechnology.com provides operators with the skills, knowledge, and expertise to take advantage of current online tools and resources. TourismTechnology.com offers one-on-one mentoring, workshops, and tutorials, all ranging from basic to advanced levels of learning. I would like to acknowledge my colleagues in New Brunswick and Prince Edward Island at the TIAs, Alison Clark in Prince Edward Island, and of course Ron Drisdell and his team at TINB. They can be great resources to you, so please reach out to them if you need them. We're very happy to have Sheldon Payne of Newfound Marketing providing small, medium, and Fortune 100 companies forward-thinking digital marketing campaigns for over 10 years. Prior to starting Newfound Marketing, Sheldon was the Digital Marketing Director for M5 Communications and has spent time in Montreal and London, where he planned and delivered sound digital marketing strategies to Fortune 100 clients, including Hewlett-Packard, Chevrolet Europe, as part of their overall search marketing strategy. Today, Sheldon will be talking about the world of advertising on Facebook, how you can target your audience, create effective ads, and maximize your advertising budget using Facebook. So without further ado, I'll pass it over to Sheldon to get it started.
Okay, good morning, everyone. I just want to make sure that everyone can hear me. So there should be a hands up option there on your screen there. So if everyone can just click their hands up if they can hear me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Good.
I find it useful to stretch before a workshop too, so that's good. Everyone has limbered up.
A little stretch with the clicks, so that's great. Okay, now that's an option that we may use several times throughout today's presentation, so good job that everyone can hear me. If you can't hear me or you just didn't want to push the button or you didn't want to stretch, then that's fine as well. So let's get started. I guess I'm just going to ask a very plain and simple question first. Show of hands again. Who has advertised with Facebook? Good. And so have you found success with Facebook so far? Okay, see the numbers kind of going down a little bit there on having success with Facebook. So hopefully today, by the time this session is over, I can kind of provide you with some of the, getting started with Facebook, some of the options that's available, and all the kind of I'm going to walk through each and every step that's going to take you from having your first campaign and creating success for this year and beyond. So I'm not going to bore you with too many stats currently. I'm going to jump right into why we're here and why we want to advertise on Facebook. So currently, every single day, there's about 900 million people worldwide that visit Facebook. Earlier this year, that number actually topped over 1 billion people. So that's a huge audience to tap into. I'm sure many people probably spent quite a bit of time last night on Facebook as well, following the election and the Blue Jays game. On average, an average user spends about 40 minutes per day on Facebook. So that's a great opportunity to make sure that you get your message out in front of a very targeted audience. One of the advantages that I really like about Facebook advertising is precise targeting. Unlike any other ad platform that exists, Facebook is filled with data. Everyone supplies their gender, their marital status, what they're doing, what they're eating, what they're liking, their age, how many kids they have, and that's all great information and data that we can use to attract our audience very precisely. Another reason why you should be advertising on Facebook is to attract new audiences. So I'm sure many of you have created Facebook pages and you've been building audiences now probably for either whether it's this year or several years. One of the great things of leveraging the advertising on Facebook is that now it provides you with an opportunity to actually create and find new audience that you haven't been able to reach before. Lastly, and probably one of the most important things, and again I'm going to ask for hands here again, how many people have noticed that there's been a decline when they make a post to their Facebook page? Just show of hands. Okay, so that number is growing quite a bit. This is kind of a problem, or not necessarily a problem, but it's something that's been happening now for about a year and a half to 2 years, where people have spent a lot of time and energy in creating Facebook pages, building their audiences, building their brand online, but we're seeing every time that we post something now, we're not seeing as much reach as possible. That's basically due because Facebook now has a revenue model. They've got stockholders. They've got an IPO that they need to answer for. So what they're doing is that now they need to reduce they've made changes in their algorithm, and they've reduced the number of ads and reach that are being shown when you make a post. So the way to combat that from Facebook's perspective is that if you want more people to see your ads, then you need to pay to expand your reach. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to take you on a step-by-step process and really walk you through what you need to do to kind of get more exposure for your ads and for your post. Okay. So I've already asked the question if you have a Facebook page or not, and I've seen a lot of show of hands, and I didn't see some show of hands. In order to advertise on Facebook, you need to have a Facebook page. If that's something that you currently don't have, I highly recommend that you invest in that ASAP. Otherwise, this session here will not add a lot of value to you in the future, but if you already have a Facebook page, that's great. If you don't, here's a couple of things that you'll need to create one. You'll need your company name. You'll need your website URL if you have one. It's also great to create a Facebook page if you don't have a website. You'll need a telephone number, a short biography or an introduction to your company, and a company logo. It's quick and easy. It takes about 5 minutes to create your page, and then from there you can go ahead and you can create your account. So just to kind of get into a little bit of an organizational structure in terms of what it is that Facebook has done. When Facebook advertising started in the beginning, it was very simple. You could create an ad, and every time you wanted to make a change to an ad, you had to create a new ad. But in recent months, and within probably the last year or so, they've really made some changes. And anyone who's been familiar with, say, the Google AdWords platform and did some advertising there, you may notice some similarities that exist between AdWords and between Facebook. So right now, what we'll create is we're going to work through creating your first campaign. And that campaign might be, maybe you want to target a certain offer, or maybe you want to grow Facebook pages, or maybe you want to boost your Facebook page post. The next thing that's highly valuable now is that then you can create an ad set, and this really provides you with an opportunity now to make changes in how you want to schedule your campaign, your ads, what time of day you want to schedule them, how you set your budget, how you want to bid, how you want to target, and what placements that you want to have. So there's really good opportunities here if you're, if you want to take your Facebook advertising to the next level to make some changes. And finally, we get into the creative elements. So as we kind of go through the process, what you'll see is that once you have your ad set, there is a place where you can have, you can test out a number of different images, you can try different links, you can add videos, and you can add text to your ads as well. So this is a structure that exists, and it really allows you to kind of leverage what's great about Facebook advertising. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm just going to really walk you through each step. So this is the very first step. When you log into your Facebook ads account, you're going to choose an objective, and that objective is going to be one of the following. One is going to be, and I'm sure you've seen this when you've made a Facebook post, your first option will be to boost your post, and basically that's just to promote your page post. If you post something that you want more people to see, it allows you to kind of just boost that post itself. Another objective is perhaps you're just getting started with Facebook and you want to grow your fan base quite quickly. So in that case, what you want to do there is that you want to get page likes, and to do that, and you want to purchase those likes, then you want to promote your page. Another option as well that's highly valuable is that clearly, having a Facebook page is great, and you can, there's a lot of things that you can do, but the transactions that you want to get more than likely are going to occur on your website. So there's an option there where you can actually create your ads and just send people directly to your website. Another technique that exists, and this is a bit more of an advanced technique, is conversion tracking. So basically what you'll do here is you'll put a tiny pixel, so you can ask your web designer or a programmer to kind of take a Facebook pixel, and they'll apply that to your website. And what it does, it allows you to track success measurements. So maybe it's someone who books a tour, makes a reservation, maybe they're going to purchase tickets for a festival, an upcoming event. The other options that exist, I'm going to include them, but I'm really not going to talk a lot about them. And those include getting people to install your app. So if you've invested time and energy and you have an app that you want to have for your business, then you can actually use Facebook on mobile devices to get people to install your app. Then the other one is to increase app engagement, so you can get people, to use your desktop apps that are specifically for Facebook to do that more often. Another one that you can do as well, as I'm sure you guys have seen this quite recently, is that if you create an event on Facebook and you want to increase the attendance of that event, then you can promote that event as well. Another thing that's used, and is not used that often, is the Facebook offers and claims. So this is a unique way. So if you've got a certain code or discount, or you're giving away gift cards and you only want to give away 10 or 15, then this is a great way for you to be able to kind of go and create an ad campaign to have a specific offer. Then the final one that exists is to get video views. One of the things that's happened in social media recently now over the last probably year and a half is that there's a real fight for video. For years we've been really familiar with YouTube, and then within the last year or so, Facebook has really come on board, and they've offered more what we call native video ads. And you've probably seen this, I'm sure, as you're going through your Facebook feeds, you'll notice that they're not YouTube links; it's just ads that are strictly coming from Facebook, and that's going to increase. And then Twitter is also joining that game as well. So if you've got video content, if you're a tour operator and you've got video content, then using the video ads are a fantastic tool to get exposure for your brand. Okay, just want to pause for a second and just kind of, am I speaking too fast, too slow? If you just want to make maybe a couple of comments. Anyone?
I think things are good.
Things are good? Okay, all good, all good. Great. Okay, so the next screen here, so basically this is the screen that you will see when you get to your Facebook advertising account. Again, these are just a repetition of all the things that I just discussed. So once you've chosen your objective, the next thing that you have to choose is your target audience. So one of the great things that I really like about Facebook, again, that doesn't kind of exist in some of the other platforms like Google and Twitter, is that you actually get to choose a lot of information. So some of the options that they allow you to choose is that you can choose by location, you can choose by age, you can choose by gender, you can choose by relationship. So maybe it's empty nesters, maybe it's someone who's getting engaged, maybe it's someone who's just married and they're going on a honeymoon. People who are single, people who are divorced. Those are all the relationship statuses that exist. You can also choose by education. You can choose by work. So if there's a certain company that you want to target, you can do that. There's also, mostly in the U.S., less in Canada, is that it also provides you with like financial, so incomes as well. So that can be either a single income or a family income, so you can target by income. Home, generation, parents. So again, here's an opportunity where you may want to advertise with parents with newborns, parents with teenagers, parents with empty nesters as well. Life events, again, these are all things that people kind of add, so it could be anniversaries, birthdays, just getting married, just finishing school, all great ways and opportunities for you to be able to target your audience. One of the things that I really like as well is that you get to target by interest. So again, depending on what your operation is and what's involved in your business, you actually get to pick. So this is the people that I want to target. This is the interest that I think my users and my target audience would have, and you can kind of pick that. The last 2 is behaviors, and this is kind of a bit more specific. So if you only wanted to target, and this is, think about more for, say, app. If you've got an app that you want to install and you only have an iPhone app, then you can target people who only have iPhones versus people who have Android devices. The last thing that you get to choose as well is that, so if you've got a page that exists and you want to make sure that everyone who's currently a fan of your page and you want them to see the message, then you can choose that as well. Or if you want to reach an audience that for people who currently don't like your Facebook page, then that's another option that you have as well, is you can kind of exclude people who already like your page, and then you can add people in. So what I'm going to do, just to kind of have a visual element of this, is that once I walk through each of these steps, I'm just going to show you like a live ad that I've already kind of preset, and just kind of walk through some of the different customizations as well. Okay. The other thing that I really like about Facebook that's a little bit different as well is that you also have a chance to create custom audiences. So this is really important. I think it's a really good opportunity here to use this for your business. There's a couple of different options. One of the ones that I like the most, so if you've taken the time to create an email list, for example, then you can actually take all the email addresses that you've collected, and you can actually target ads to people that are in your email list. This would be quite useful. So again, if you want to reach people, if your business has a lot of kind of like repeat business, then it provides you with an opportunity to kind of create messages to people who you're targeting by email to have repeat business. Or maybe you're getting into, it's a new season, so maybe what you want to do is like, is there anyone that's going to be in the area coming back? You can create a campaign that's totally targeted to people that's in your mailing list, and you want to provide them with a very unique special offer. This is a tool for me, the custom audience for the unique email addresses and using your mailing list is one that's underutilized, and I don't think it's one that's out there that a lot of people use quite often, but one that, if you can either ask your TIA, then they can certainly help you with that as well. But again, it's one of the tools that if you take time over the years to create an email list, this is a great tool to attract new audiences to perhaps your Facebook page or provide them with an exclusive offer. The other custom audience that I really, really like is to remarket to your current website visitors. So if just to kind of put in perspective here, to give you an example, so if you've been on a shopping site, for example, so whether it's Amazon or whether it's like Banana Republic, et cetera, and then all of a sudden you went to purchase something, you didn't finalize that purchase, and what you then see on Facebook is that you're seeing an ad for Amazon or Banana Republic show up in your newsfeed. That's called remarketing, and that's a very useful tool that I think that can exist and that you can certainly utilize in the tourism industry. I see opportunities here for maybe it's people who are making their travel plans, and maybe they're making, what are we going to do while we're on holiday? What are we going to do during this festival? What are we going to do during this event? So what you can do is you can actually then remarket people who've already been to your website. Maybe they didn't, maybe they didn't convert. Maybe you want them to convert. So again, you can provide them with an option to remarket to those people, maybe with an exclusive offer or a discount, or something that something that adds additional value to your campaign. Again, if there's one thing that I would highly invest in is to take people who is to use the remarketing custom audiences for your campaigns. I think personally for me, it's one of the kind of must-haves that you need to do, no matter what you're going to do on Facebook. Okay, so once you've chosen your audience, you're going to see kind of the screen that looks like this. This is a screenshot that I've already pre-selected here. So basically, what this does, and this is what you can probably spend about half a day to a day in here, really, if you want to really dig into your audiences. What I've done, I've pre-selected, basically everyone who's in Newfoundland, Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, and Prince Edward Island between the ages of 18 and 65, or 65 and over, all genders, and we see that there's about 1.5 million users that are currently in Facebook. As I get into the end of the presentation, and I'll move into the live example, I'll begin to add some languages, maybe some different interests and behaviors here. And what you'll see is that you'll see this gauge over here on the right-hand side, and it's going to have whether your audience is a broad audience or a very narrow audience. If it's too broad, then maybe you want to add in some different interests or maybe behaviors. Maybe you want to change the age groups that you want to define. And those are things that you can make adjustments. And it's also great for testing as well. So the next part here, and this is an important part here, where maybe people maybe haven't had success in the past, or maybe this is where you really want to pay attention, and this is where you set your budget. So you've got a couple of options here. The first option is that you can set your budget by day, and another option is that you can set your budget for a lifetime. One of the things that I recommend is that if you set your budget per day, just realize that if that's $5 per day, then multiply that by 30, and you kind of get an estimate of how much budget you're going to be spending per month. Again, if you've got a limited budget or if you've got a fixed budget that you need to use, you can create a lifetime budget so you can kind of set your full amount that you want to run in there. The next thing that you can do then is that you can set your schedule. So you want to set a start date and an end date, which depending on if you're running an event, maybe you do want to have a start date and an end date. If not, then just be very conscious of when you're scheduling and the fact that maybe make sure that you recheck things every day and how spending is going. The next option that you'll get is for your optimization. So you're going to get an optimization choice. It's either going to be to clicks to your website, it's going to be new page likes, it's going to provide you with a bunch of different options. Here, you probably have to play around and test with what that's going to be and which option works for you. Again, if going back to the campaign structure, this is where you can make changes in your ad sets, and you can kind of play around what works best for you. Is it clicks to your website? Is it more impressions, depending on the action that you want to have? The very last one is the ad scheduling. So this allows you to provide you with an option for whether or not you want to run your ads all day, or whether or not you want to run them for certain hours of the day or certain days of the week. The only thing is that if you run a campaign for the ad scheduling and it's going to be what days of the week or which hours of the day, then you need to have a lifetime budget. Again, this is just kind of a little refresh in terms of here. I want to provide you with kind of some step-by-steps and some text so you'll have some things to read when we send this back out to everyone. Okay. So the other thing you want to look for here, and this is where you can also get into a situation where you can either spend your money quite quickly or you can kind of be a little bit conservative with your money as well. So you're going to see a couple of options when you set your pricing. One, you're going to see your bid will be optimized to help you get the most users that engage. That's one where I've seen some successes with it, but one you may or may not want to try. The next one that I really like is the optimize for clicks. Usually what I do here is when I'm creating my campaigns, when I start a first campaign, I'll often go with optimize for clicks and then manually set the values for click, just because I want to be able to have control when I'm making changes to my budget. And I want to see what's happening, and I want to be able to set the price for what exists. Often I want to be able to track how many people are going to my website, how many page likes am I getting, and I want to be able to set the price for that. And you'll see that price on the very bottom, and you'll see that don't get scared by the $2.11 per click, because you can change that to whatever you want. So normally I would probably, it gives you a suggested bid. I would usually go about somewhere in the middle of what the suggested bid is, and then kind of check back after a day or after 2 days and see how things are performing, and then make adjustments again to your bids. Again, for the advanced options, there's ad scheduling that exists, and delivery type is one thing that I want to touch on as well. So there's two options here. One option is a standard delivery type, and that provides you basically with, if you set a budget of $10 per day, Facebook is going to show your ad throughout the entire day. The other option is the accelerated option, and what will happen then is that when you set your budget, starting at midnight, then Facebook will show your ad until your money is all spent, and then once your money is all spent, then your ad's not going to show anymore. It's not very often that I'll use the accelerated delivery type. More often than not, I'll actually set the delivery type to be standard. So once we've chosen our objective and we've chosen our budget, the next thing that we need to do is that we need to choose our creative. So Facebook provides you with two options from a creative perspective. One is you'll have your single image or video in your ads creative, and a new creative that's existed now for probably a little less than a year is the multiple images in one ad, or what we like to call a carousel ad. Here's two examples, and let's kind of explain how you may want to use each one. So this is a single image video ad, one that you'll probably see more often than not. So if you're promoting your Facebook page post, then this is currently what you'll normally, more than likely will see. And if you have a video ad, again, this will just be interchanged with the video ad from here. Now, if you've got, and I think this is a really great place for you to experiment. So if you've got multiple offers, so if you're an operator and you've got multiple tours and multiple packages that you want to offer, I think the carousel ad or the multi-image ad is a fantastic place for you to be able to go and provide users with kind of like the different experiences that you want to provide. As you see in this example here, it's providing you with kind of like, here's, the white set of 5 white bowls, the mortar and pestle instead of wooden serving utensils. So for me, I kind of see this as an example. If we take, say, like a festival, maybe what you want to be able to do is create maybe 2 or 3 days that people can kind of see, here's what's happening on day 1, here's what's happening on day 2, and here's what's happening on day 3. And we also see this quite often now. You'll see it with a lot of kind of e-commerce and shopping carts as well, where people will kind of have multiple offers or multiple kind of stories that will exist in their ads. I'm not going to bore you too much with the details here. This is basically just for your own references when you're creating your ads. This is some of the limitations that you will have. So for a single image ad, you'll have 90 characters of text. Your link title needs to be 25. This is probably the next one. The image size is very important, and that's going to basically show you how your ads will appear in the newsfeed. So if the image is too small, it's going to show up as an image. It's going to show to the left of your ad, of your website, or when you have your Facebook ad, or it's going to show up, if you've got a big ad, then it's going to show up like the previous example that I had showed you. One of the important things, and I'm sure if you've already experimented with Facebook advertising, one of the things that you need to always make sure that you apply is the 20% ad text rule. So Facebook has a policy where it doesn't allow you to add text on your images that takes up more than 20% of the image. Basically, there's a couple of different options here. You can see what's allowed and what's not allowed. But the example below really does show you in terms of what you can and cannot do. More often than not, I prefer to use ads that have very little text in them. And try to utilize the text itself to be actually in the ad copy that you want to supply. Okay. So here's a sample ad that I've created, and basically from here it could be a little difficult to see for the most part. But again, it kind of just shows you everything that I've included in here and an ad that I use for my company for another kind of tool that I use. And you'll see I use my Facebook page, I've created the text, and you kind of see the text and how that's going to appear. And I've created a newsfeed link description. So that's kind of like something where basically if you want to add some additional text to a link and something that you can customize, you can do that right away. Okay. And then once you've got your ad, you've got all this information supplied, you'll have 3 different options. You're going to have an option to choose to either show up in a desktop newsfeed, which you will need to have your Facebook page in order to do that. You also have an option to show up on the right column ad. That's usually one that I don't recommend very often. I don't really see much success with the right column ad. And then the last one is the mobile ad feed, and that's probably the one that gets the most success. For the most part, most users that are using Facebook today are more often than not probably going to be using a mobile device. So I think concentrating your efforts on the mobile feed is probably where you want to spend most of your time. Second to that would be the desktop news feed, and then the right column ad would be the third. Not highly recommended, but there may be some successes there, maybe perhaps even for a marketing campaign. Okay, and then that's basically the straightforward process of you'll go through that process and your order will be placed. It takes about 15 minutes for Facebook to review your ad, and they'll let you know whether or not your ad has been approved or disapproved. What you'll want to do is, after you've created your ads, you want to make sure that you created reports. So this is something we kind of check basically for all the accounts that we run. We check this every day just to kind of get a sense, how's the campaign performing, and are there anything that we see, any changes that we want to make? Is there any way for us to make improvements to the campaign? And then some of those improvements that you may want to take place would be, do we want to test new images? How do we, depending on the audience that we're targeting, do we want to be able to have seasonal images? So do we want to have something for spring, fall, and winter? Are there new ad formats that exist as well? Do we want to try new copy, new calls to action? So maybe it's reserve now, book now. Might be two different ones. Which one gets the most clicks? Which one gets the most conversions? And of course, you also want to make sure that your Facebook advertising is integrated with your existing strategy, and if it's not, then certainly make sure that it is. The last one from a best practice that I'd like to touch on is the Google Analytics tracking. So what we find to be very important for us is that when we create Facebook advertising campaigns, Google provides you with an option where you can set up tracking codes. And with those tracking codes, then I can look back at my Google Analytics and say how much traffic is coming from the Facebook advertising campaigns that I've created, and how many people are converting, how many people are calling us, and so we can be successful. Okay, so that's the short kind of getting started with Facebook ads. I know I've ran through quite a bit and quite a lot in a short period of time, so I'd like to open it up for questions.
As a fishing outfitter, can I target people in England that enjoy salmon fishing?
Yes, you certainly can, Scott. And just to show you an example, I'm going to share my screen. So we want to see how many people in England So if everyone can see my screen here, and then we're going to do now right here, it's only showing that there's fewer than 1,000 people, so I'm just going to expand on that. So again, if you just look through my screen here, you maybe want to include recreational fishery, fly fishing, big game fishing, and what you'll see is over here on the right-hand side, you'll begin to see these numbers kind of make changes, and that's how you can go ahead and make and kind of adjust who you want to do your bidding with.
Also, Sarah and Andrew have a couple of questions here. First of all, is $5 a day effective? And how do we know the most effective days, hours for ad scheduling?
Great question. Realistically, $5 a day, again, I've set that as kind of a really low example. I would probably go a little bit higher, but it would depend on what your budget is. One of the things that I really like about the advertising platform, so whether it's Facebook or Google, is that you have the flexibility to control your budget and to test. What I would probably recommend is that $5 a day, think about how much you're willing to pay per click. So if you're willing to pay, say, $1 per click and you're spending $5 per day, then that only provides you with an opportunity to reach 5 people. So think about how much you're willing to pay per click, and then how many people do you want to reach? What are your expectations and goals with respect to what you need to be successful? And I'm sure you can kind of get that from your past. The other thing that I would find quite helpful in terms with regards to ad scheduling is that if you've got a Facebook page, leverage the insights that exist in your Facebook page, and from there you can kind of see what time of day people are online. So you can take one of two approaches then. One approach is to maybe you want to get yourself out in front of all the clutter that exists when times are busy, or maybe you want to pay and be there when times are a little slow. Again, testing is probably one of the most important things that you will need to implement with your Facebook advertising campaigns. Is that it's not a kind of you set up a campaign once and you just leave it alone, you come back and you check it. It's something that you need to check consistently, and it's something that you need to test and see what works for you. There's no kind of one answer that everyone has, like this is what everyone needs to do, because if everyone needed to do it, then the competition would be higher and your costs would go up. So you're going to find things that are going to work for you that may not work for others. So all I can suggest is just test, test, test.
Excellent. Good advice. We always got to test. Allison also asked, how do we go about remarketing the people that have visited your site or page?
Okay. So if you've, what you need to do here is, Facebook is great. They'll actually walk you through each step. So I'm going to go here, and it'll provide me with, here I've already done it. But you can actually, when you go into your objectives, you can actually go and create a pixel on your account. I'm just going to go in here, if you can see my screen. And when you go into manage your ads, you'll actually see there's an option here for pixels. And Facebook then will actually walk you through step by step in terms of how you can go and you can create a brand new pixel from there. What you'll do is you'll get a conversion tracking pixel. You'll get a piece of script that exists. I'm just going to view code. The view code will look like this. And again, Facebook's fantastic. It'll provide you with all the instructions that you'll have to take. You'll copy and paste the script, and then what you need to do more often than not is to send that off to your web designer or a programmer, and they'll be able to place that script in the appropriate area. Then once the remarketing pixel exists, it'll probably take maybe a few hours once you get some website traffic, and it'll take a couple of days for you to go in, and you'll see your remarketing campaigns that will exist over here, and these numbers will kind of begin to show up as well. Definitely one of the recommendations, if there's anything that I would suggest, is that even if you don't want to do remarketing today, is to get the script added to your website, so whenever you decide that you want to do remarketing, you can implement it, and you will already have a group of people that you'll be able to remarket to.
How do I know when my Facebook page is being visited the most? You may have already answered that.
Yeah. So what I can show you, I'll just show you, again, if you can see my screen. So on my page insights, you'll see there's a couple of tabs here across the top, and in your page insights, you can do reach, people. I'm going to show you all your stats here, your post, and this will show you right here, and more often than not, it's going to look like a whale, and this will show you, again, what time of day people are on and visiting your Facebook page. So that'll kind of give you an indication of when you may or may not want to advertise.
Fantastic. Scott also asked, how does Facebook get paid? Will they take a credit card?
Facebook does take credit cards. They love credit cards. They also take PayPal as well. So when you set up your account, your Facebook advertising account, it will ask you to go ahead. You'll see an ad manager here. And across the top, you'll see a couple of different options, and the option to answer your question there is in the billing section, and there will be an option in terms of you'll be able to supply yourself with the credit card information that you want to include. My credit card information is not included there, so don't feel free to use mine. Not yet.
Sheldon, there's an interesting question there from Scott. He says, what gets the biggest bang for the buck, Facebook advertising or SEO, I guess, through Google?
That's a great question, and you may not like the answer, but the answer is both. They're two different audiences. If you think about Google itself, so when you go to Google, you're in need of something. You're in search of something. So if you're going to pay for your keywords, then you're going to provide a user who has a query or has a question They want a solution, and you're going to provide them with a solution. So for me, there's always a need for that. If there's one thing that I would recommend, in addition to the remarketing and to increasing your Facebook page likes on Facebook, I always recommend to bid on your brand name on Google. It just provides you with an option to get a sense of all the marketing that I'm doing, of all the branding that exists, and all the time and energy that I invest in marketing for my company. Am I getting a response? And by investing in your brand name, it allows you to see how many people are searching for me, and it also provides you with an option to get the message that you want to have relayed in front of them as well. So for me, there's no one answer. Each have their own pros and their own cons. The pro for Google, obviously, is that if someone is searching for a solution, you want to be found for that solution. The other, from a Facebook perspective, is that I think the targeting is much better on Google than it is on Facebook than it is on Google, and the fact that you can actually target. So the example that I see quite often is that if you're targeting men who have beards or razor, and you want to target razors, then you can specifically target men who have beards, or may or may not have beards, but you can target men in the age group very specifically, and that's something that people probably don't search for razor blades or razor, for shaving techniques and stuff like that as much on Google, but you can provide them with the option on Facebook. So that's probably the example that I see the most. I know it's not a clear-cut winner, but I always recommend investing in both.
And I think the bigger win in your answer, Sheldon, is that the days of organic search and organic growth are probably past. Although it's still a good practice.
There's still best practices that you should invest in. There's nothing wrong with making sure that you cover the basics from an SEO perspective.
Right. But I think everybody needs to open their mind to the fact that if they're in business, they need to think about making some investment in SEO and in Facebook ads.
Yeah, the free ride's over.
Right.
Unfortunately, it's one of the things that's it seems like every year or two something comes along and we get a little bit of a free ride, and we had that with Facebook and Twitter, and most recently Instagram. We've had that as well. And actually, one of the things I also want to mention as well that I haven't covered is that Facebook is also, because Facebook owns Instagram, you can now advertise on Instagram through your Facebook account as well. So that's one additional reason to advertise through Facebook marketing. But to go back to Craig's point is the free ride is over. Right now, what we need to do when we're thinking about the dollars that we have is, can we be smarter about it? Can we be more effective about it? And making sure that you're testing and always checking the data, and are we getting data back that's helping us to make the financial decisions to either expand in more marketing in Facebook or more marketing in Google or more marketing in email or Twitter. And the choices just keep expanding and expanding and expanding, so we need to be smarter with the dollars that we have.
Annie from Dieppe, when you say targeting, is it what they are searching for on the net or what they have on their Facebook profile?
That's actually a great question. One of the things that's a little bit unique with Facebook in terms of, how targeted they can get. So if you have a blog or if you've been on a website, and you'll see, sometimes you'll see like how many times, this thing has been shared on Facebook, or how many times, well, not recently on Twitter, they removed that option. But if you see how many times it's been shared on Facebook, that's actually providing Facebook with information as well and data. So that lets Facebook know what websites you're visiting, and that goes into when we want to do targeting. So when we choose our interest, you may not say that you're interested in, say, in salmon fishing, but if you're visiting salmon fishing websites, then the sharing option is available on that page through Facebook. Facebook is then saying, well, you have an interest in salmon fishing. So on that note, just be careful about, I guess, where you're browsing the web, because for every page that you go on that has those Facebook things, Facebook is tracking that data as well. So as much as we want to be able to use those things to advertise to potential future customers, then other people are doing the same to you as well. So just as a little bit of a side note, I always like to let people know about where you're spending your time on Facebook, and that people are going to be advertising. If you see strange ads come up and say, oh yeah, I was on a site like that the other day, wasn't I? So that's the reason why.
So there's not much anonymity when it comes to web browsing.
No, there's not. The next steps that I think will be very important is that if you have an interest in Facebook advertising and you want to take it to, or you have an existing Facebook advertising strategy and you want to take it to the next level, contact your local tourism industry association. I'm sure they can provide you with some additional guidance and assistance. And then on a final note as well, I just want to let you know that if you wanted to kind of keep in touch in terms of what I do and what my company does as well, is that you can reach out to me on LinkedIn, and I see some of the names here, so I think I've already probably connected with some of you from what I can see, and I think I've worked with some of you in the past as well from what I can see, so it's great to reconnect. My Twitter accounts are there, my email is there, and our Facebook page is there as well, so please feel free to reach out and contact me as well if you have any future questions. And here's basically a list of things that we do provide at New Found Marketing.
Excellent, Sheldon. Thanks very much. Great presentation this morning. Very timely topic, and you did a very good job of covering it. These webinars are designed for very short bursts, bit of an introduction to things, but always provides time for follow-up. So, and you mentioned that this is put off by tourismtechnology.com. So each province has a technology resource coordinator in their province who can help you through this. And not that they always have all the answers. They may need to reach out to some other people for that, but at least they'll be able to guide you through the process. And thank you to our project partners, the province of New Brunswick, Prince Edward Island and Newfoundland and Labrador, and the Tourism Industry Associations, TIBE-NB, TIPI, and Hospitality Newfoundland and Labrador, and of course Tourism Atlantic COA. Thank you today for attending. Again, I feel it was an excellent presentation, Sheldon, and a real joy to have you here. Thank you very much and have a great day.